Hello and welcome to Ditch the Diet and Face the Feelings. Once again, we are here. Today it's just Sandra and I. Sammy is off today. Um, and Sandra and I are going to be talking to you today about all those times we eat to fill a void. And the question really is, what void am I trying to fill? But first, before we dive into the topic, Cassandra, an invitation to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I've got a Facebook group called Body Wisdom Psychology Beyond Dieting. I'm an eating psychology coach along with a holistic coach, a health coach. So, welcome to come on board and check out what I've got to offer you.
Absolutely, yes. So basically, today, what we want to talk about is all the reasons of that void that we're trying to fill. And one of the great things that I learned on the energetics coach was a really easy question of what am I really hungry for? And that really hungry is so often not food. I mean, physical hunger, you can tell when you're physically hungry. And maybe we should start with talking about how do we notice physical hunger? What does physical hunger actually feel like as opposed to cravings and how we tell the difference?
Well, I think that if you're looking at what does physical hunger really feel like, it's for me, it's do you get angry or do you get that anger feeling that I am so
Mm-hmm.
starved, I need to eat?
The hangry then.
The hangry feeling, yeah. Angry. I call it anger because that's what it is like.
It is,
um,
yeah.
but it's the hanger feeling. Is that what you've really got? And if you're
Yeah.
not sure, if you're really not sure, sometimes you can feel hungry, but what you actually need is water.
Yes.
So try drinking a glass of water and waiting about 5 minutes and see, are you still hungry?
Yeah.
And then have something to eat. I think that that's really one of the simplest ways to start tuning into that hunger.
Yeah. And I notice for me, I notice thirsty, that glass of water in my mouth. So if I'm actually in tune with myself and my body and it's, oh, I'm hungry. It's like, well, wait a minute. Is this actually hunger? No, this isn't. This is thirst.
Mhm.
One of the things I love about having what was a 6-year-old, what is now a 7-year-old, is she will, unfortunately, she drinks from the jug, but she'll walk to the fridge, grab the water jug, and pour it straight in her mouth. I've now assigned, of course, in the fridge 2 jugs. One is hers. Because she has this beautiful state of being so in touch. Is hunger or is this thirst? And I think that kids probably are much more in touch with that than we are as adults of am I actually thirsty as opposed to hungry. For
We
me, I notice hunger because you do get the rumblings. You do get that empty feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
When I'm struggling, I literally put my hand on my stomach and go, is this hunger? And there's something about touch, bringing all your awareness to that part of your body of okay, put my hand on there and then let my head brain make sense of what is this sensation? Is this hunger? Yes or no? It's
I,
really simple.
I also
It's either
I also
hunger
think too, Beth,
or it's
that
trying to fill the void.
I also think too that as we go from child into teenager, we lose that in tuneness to our own body, and
Mhm.
and
Oh,
and
there's
through
an
no fault of our
overwhelm
own.
of hormones and everything. Yeah.
It's not just that, it's actually our external environment that can affect that, because we can have people saying, "Oh, you really don't need that second helping. You really can't be that hungry when you're a child,
Mhm.
right? And you're growing
Right.
and and you're
Yeah.
burning up all this energy, right?" So that
Mhm.
can really play a um a disconnect into how we connect with our own
Right.
hunger. We do lose that. We do lose that connection as we get older because of what our external environment is. And that could even be
Because
social
people
media.
tell us and question it. Absolutely.
Yes. So if
Yes.
we could
Yeah.
sit back as adults and actually just think about what you would be like if you were 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and tune into that feeling of
Beautifully in
of our
touch.
hunger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so once you're able, and I think we've talked about this before, one of the things I've loved about doing something like intermittent fasting, even though I tend to do it only for a short time, is that it reconnects me with what is hunger.
Mhm.
And once I've reconnected with hunger, it's so much easier then to differentiate between, is this hunger or am I simply eating to fill the void? So let's dive into the void, because that void is huge. Well, it's a void, okay? We eat for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons we eat is it brings back happy memories of a better moment, of a better time. We're eating for happiness sake, for
Oh, but
comfort's
it
sake.
could also be the opposite of we're eating
Uh-huh.
because we're upset and stressed about something that's going on in our lives,
Absolutely.
or we're not happy with something that's going on. Um,
Uh-huh.
so those are things that also trigger us eating.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
think about it when we walk in from we've had a real stressful day at work.
Hmm.
We didn't stop to eat properly through the day.
Yep,
And we walk in that door and we are stressed and upset because of what was going on at work. And then
right.
we turn around and go, "Yeah, but I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten all day." And you go to the cupboard and you reach for that quick snack and you
Uh-huh.
fill up on that instead of looking at, "Oh, darn, some of this is related to the fact that I am stressed from work and I'm upset with what was
Yeah.
going on, or it just didn't flow smoothly
Hmm.
for me today." So I
Yeah.
cover up that feeling and I eat to satisfy
Yeah.
that part of that emotion.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry, I'm on a call, so I'll take care of you soon. Okay. So, one of the things, obviously, that is a useful question that I find is, what am I really hungry for? So, what am I hungry for? Like we said, it might be thirst. It might not be hunger. Might be comfort. It might be to avoid the anxiety or avoid the situation. Um, I find also often food and eating can be a form of procrastination, at least in my life. In what sense? There's a sense of heaviness that you might get after eating, which allows you to say, I'm too tired to do this.
Yeah.
And you've given yourself the perfect excuse to not move forward on something difficult because now physically I'm just too tired. And the void that you're filling is, I need an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is I think when we look at all of this, right, it really means that you need to just sit with where you're at and really ask yourself, what do I need at this point in time?
Yeah.
What am I what am I craving for? And I don't mean
Yeah.
craving as in food. What are you
Uh-huh.
craving for in your life? What's
Yeah.
missing or what's going on
Hmm.
that's causing it all? And sometimes it might help too when you're getting started at this and you're not sure how to manage. Sometimes it might help just to pick up your journal and journal out those thoughts going, am I really hungry for food? Well, no, not
Yeah.
really. So, what am I hungry for? What am I looking for? What does
Yeah.
that, um, if you're eating a potato chip, what is that potato chip giving you? What is it satisfying within you?
Yes. Yeah. And also one of the other things that we have to take into account when it comes to cravings, for example, sometimes we crave a particular food because of a vitamin or mineral in that food that we're missing in our diet. So you might be craving something, but you're not actually physically hungry. And it's your body's way of saying, I'm missing this. Okay. Now, does that mean that I eat it right now? No. But maybe I need to put it in my diet. Maybe when I am physically hungry, that's what I need. Um, and there's some great questions that we can ask yourself. For example, you might be hungry for something like novelty or creativity. You might be hungry for ideas, for new learning. It might be a hunger in your, I want to say, in your head. That's where creativity, novelty, learning is all going to happen. Okay. But it might be a heart hunger. I'm hungry for connection, for relationships, for being loved, for feeling important and cherished. Is that the void I'm trying to fill? Something happened. I mean, like we all see it in the movies or in TV shows. You go through a hard breakup and you sit down with a pint of ice cream. You're eating your way through the void of the sadness. But the reality is that we use food to fill a void,
Yeah.
which is not necessarily a physical need. And that's not the purpose of food. That is also not honoring ourselves. We're actually not loving and respecting ourselves when we're doing that. When we're not listening, when we're using food instead of actually taking care of our needs.
Well, what happens too is we're not honoring ourselves, but we're acting out of our own integrity.
Yes.
And that's a huge thing. And we're not respecting who we are
Yeah.
as this body, as this person. We're not respecting our own body. So
Yeah.
that's something else to be really aware of.
Yeah. And so I mean, the same way we talk about what do I need, it might be what am I avoiding or blocking, like you already said. There can be the use of food. The void might not be a hole but a wall that I'm trying to build.
It could
um
also be really simple. It could be boredom. It
oh,
could be
absolutely. But
pure
if
pure
I am
boredom.
bored, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the conversation I had with somebody last week that I was coaching. I was like, are you really bored or are you tired? And the voice in your head, the word that you are used to using is I'm bored. That's what you tell yourself, which gives
But
you permission to rest. but you're not actually bored. What you are is tired. And it's when you are able to have that self-awareness and go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't bored. I'm not actually physically tired and I need to rest. But could you give yourself permission to rest? And so many of us don't give ourselves permission to rest. I'm just going to do one more thing.
Oh, I'll just finish that.
Yeah. And there's this little voice going, I'm bored, but we're not bored. We're tired. We're not listening. And another thing that it might be is fear.
Yeah.
It might even be, and I've talked about this so many times, is the void I am trying to fill is one of movement. And I've joked with a friend about, he says he has an oral fixation and he likes to chew things and put things in his mouth. And I was like, yeah, but understand that chewing is movement. There's a sense of movement in chewing. And your body may have been asking you, want to go out for a walk? And instead you decide to move your jaw muscle instead of your legs or your arms. It counts as movement.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I look at Little Miss Seven. 5, 10, 15 times a day, she locks me in my office and says, I'm going to dance. And I'm not allowed out till she's finished. And she will dance for 15, 20 minutes, whatever, then come back and say, okay, you're allowed out again. But that need for movement, she connects with it. She'll be sitting down doing something, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, I need to move now. So you're going to get locked in your office. You're not allowed out because I need, I want to dance. And it's however many times a day she needs it.
And I think too, though, as we get older and as we go into our work lives and moving forward with career and family.
Oh, the 9 to 5 of sit down for 8 hours.
Yeah. We ignore that. And then it becomes such an ingrained thing that we don't even tune into that part of us.
Yes.
And I think that if you're in that position, I think a really good thing to do is to actually schedule it into your day. And it doesn't have to be every day to begin with. But if you start actually literally scheduling that movement time in, you'll end up doing it because you're honoring your schedule. And and if you're dancing, all adults, all of us, we should take time to do a dance. Close your door, close your windows. I don't care what you do, but do it.
Exactly. Dance as if no one is watching and make sure that you've closed the curtain so nobody is. Yeah.
That's right. And schedule it in and then actually honor that and see the transformation that's going to happen within you after you do it for a couple of months.
Yeah. And I have to say, I miss salsa dancing and I haven't done it in years. But there was a time in my life where every Thursday I would go out for 3 to 4 hours on Thursday evening. And basically from 4 hours, from 5 till 9, I was in salsa dance. And it was only one class a week, and it cost a pittance. I think we paid $3 for the session. Now, it was however many people showed up. You had no guarantee of, it could be 100 people there. Didn't matter. But for this one afternoon, evening a week, we would do 3 to 4 hours of dancing.
Oh, I think too.
And the amount of fun and the amount of people you met.
Yeah. And I think if you remember, like, I grew up in a small community. So we had Friday night dances. And it
Mhm.
was year round. It was Friday night dances, right?
Exactly right.
Everybody partaked in that. And think of
Yep.
how much enjoyment you had from it. How much did you feel good about it? You got
But
to
how much community building? I mean, like if you look
exactly.
even at
And
something like choirs, and there's a whole lot of talk right now, even in the health community, about the importance of singing and humming and how that activates the vagus nerve.
yeah,
And in it creates connection with other people on a level that they have not begun to understand.
yeah,
But it also activates health and well-being. Now, obviously, there's some obvious things about singing and humming, which is the breath work that you're doing naturally and the controlled breathing. Okay. But what else is happening? And I mean, if you go back to something like Gregorian chanting, they talk about the healing effects that the monks found of doing the chanting, of how they could literally perform miracles, not understanding how or why, with the singing.
yeah, yeah.
But when we look at our own well being, what is the void we're filling with food?
Wow. And that's each individual. That's every
Yeah.
individual is different, and
Yeah.
you really need to
And,
take the
and
time to tune in.
Yeah. And another thing that I've noticed I eat for, the void I have, is energy. I'm tired, so I eat to try to restore energy. But I'm not physically hungry.
Yeah.
And
But if you
we
honored
make,
if you honored that you were tired, you would go
right,
rest.
right. I might need to rest, or I might need to look at my entire lifestyle and the way I'm living life and go, what is tiring me?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the Netflix binge until 3 a.m. That might need to change. What is, and so the void is your body is giving you a message of I'm tired. And instead of recognizing that a change is needed or that I need to rest, I'm trying to eat to replace energy when that is not actually what my body's asking for.
That's right. And that's so true. And I think I know for myself, when I was working, um, and I worked a high stress job too, it was more eating because of the frustration of things not going right. Or
Yeah.
or as a community nurse, it wasn't unusual for our phone to ring as we were in a client's house or just leaving a client's house. Hey, we need you to pick up one more client. Oh, we really need you to go do this. And it's the next thing, you started out your day with 7 or 8 visits, and you end up with 14. And
Right. And
and
you're
then you go,
eating rather than speaking up,
exactly. So then you
rather
get
than
home.
standing up for yourself.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
then you get home and you eat because you're frustrated because, dang, that's not how I planned my day. That's not what I intended. I intended to have
And,
my
and,
8
and so
visits and go.
rather than standing up for yourself, having a conversation perhaps with supervisors or having a conversation even with the clients who called at the very last minute when they could have made an appointment last week and this could have been programmed into the day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of things. So you're
There's
not
all kinds of reasons.
actually having and communicating. And this comes back to throat again. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to satisfy the void in my throat of not speaking up for myself.
Yeah.
And instead, I eat and I just push that back down.
Yeah. And I think that if there's any community nurses um, in our group listening to this, This is something that I've learned since I've left the profession, is that, no matter how much they try to push that extra visit on you, and I know they're going to threaten and say, well, you got to do this, or this is going to happen.
Huh?
It's your body.
Right.
You need to set the boundaries. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that for me, the patients always came first,
Yeah.
before me. But now that I'm out of it, I look at all the harm
Mm-hmm.
that I've done to my own physical body.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and I think that if you're in that position, even, and it doesn't have to just be nursing, because there's other careers that have this happening to them too. You really need to honor your body. You need to
Yeah.
honor who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
and that will help. It helps all around, not just with filling the void to eat, but it means that you've got some boundaries and that you're really caring about who you are, and you're operating from a point of loving yourself, because
Yes.
nobody else out there is going to love your body. Only you. You've only got one body. You
No,
need to love it.
exactly.
Oh,
The only one that, I mean, like, if you're tired, if you're hungry for energy, the only one that is going to notice your tiredness, unless you're really grouchy and irritable, is you.
yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
only
your
person
kids
that is going to
might.
pay this in their body. And that's exactly what I mean about the grouchy and the irritable. Um, but the reality is that that's on us to do the self-care. And we fill this void with food, and in part because of being taught that have an energy drink, have a Kit Kat. I mean, um, is it the Snickers bar that somebody is turning into a monster, and they give them the Snickers and they return to themselves? I can't remember which one of the ads it is
Oh,
that
I have
always
no
has
idea.
that. I don't know, but it's that whole thing of this, have this rather than looking at what's really going on. And like we said at the beginning, hangry is a real thing. When you are hungry and you actually need to eat, yes, then do sit down, take the time, eat, satisfy the physical need, and honor your body. But if you're just filling the void of, like Guillermo says, boredom, um, or creativity, or, I mean, even the need, for example, you might feel a need for balance in your life of things are all topsy-turvy, and the one thing I can control is food.
Yeah.
Okay. And in our need to be able to control something, we sit down to eat because, well, at least I can control this. But is that true? You're no longer really in control because you're not actually dealing with what
Well,
needs to be dealt with.
yeah, you're not dealing with the reality of why are you eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the big thing, right? It's why are you sitting in the evening eating that bag of chips?
Yeah.
What's going on
Yeah.
here, but also
Or
in your
in our
heart
heart, or even in our gut.
and
I mean, like,
gut?
we sometimes, I mean, like, the void might be one of identity, of who I am, of not being true to myself. And I eat to fill that void. The void may be one of security and safety. And so I build and I pad myself in order to not feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess too, thinking about this even a little bit more here is we're really eating our emotions.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
if you can just tune into that for a minute and go, what emotion am I eating? What am I eating? And sooner or later, the answers are it's gonna be like a light bulb turning on.
Yeah. And it
And you're gonna
doesn't
go,
necessarily happen the first time you realize I'm
no,
trying to eat when I'm not hungry. The reality is that self-awareness takes time. The question is, are you willing to sit in the discomfort of not eating, not covering it up? Because the thing is that if you eat and cover up the void, you're never going to know what's in the void. Okay? And the reality is, if I'm not physically hungry, that discomfort is going to last probably maximum 5 minutes. I'm going to
yeah,
feel really uncomfortable of really, that anxiety of I need to eat. And maybe the first time I'm sitting in that discomfort and that anxiety of wanting to eat when I'm not actually hungry. Perhaps the first time I do that, I don't get any answers. That doesn't mean that I should eat if I'm not physically hungry. It's not honoring my body and myself to go ahead and eat. That is not self-respect. That's not self-love. That's not self-compassion.
that's right.
It's loving myself enough, and this is tough love, to sit in the discomfort of I am uncomfortable not eating. I'm uncomfortable facing my feelings and my emotions, or my boredom, or my tiredness, or whatever it is, until I start to get answers, until I start to really get in touch with what's going on here. And like I said at the very beginning, the first step in this is to actually understand, what does hunger feel like? Because then if I know what hunger feels like, everything else that is not physical hunger is something else to face. And
And
it's
I
going to
think,
be uncomfortable.
yeah, and I think for all the ladies out there, and even the men, um, if you've been a chronic dieter, a yo-yo dieter, in actuality, as a dieter, you have lost that intuitiveness as to what does your hunger really feel like, because you've been restricting and you've been depriving for so long, your body no
And,
longer
and then there's
recognizes.
moments on the diet where you've been hungry and you've told yourself, no, I'm not allowed to
Yes.
eat right now because I have to eat at such and such a time, and I'm only allowed to eat so many calories or so much carbs or whatever the rules of the diet is that I was on at the time.
Yeah. And it
And
really does.
I,
It switches
oh,
that. It really
yes.
destroys that. And and I think too that if we just stop and think about it as, this isn't a magic pill. If you're looking for a magic pill, it's not there. There is no magic pill. It
Oh,
means a lot of work. And
yes.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of inner growth. It's a lot of self-realization. It's a lot of self-love. It's a lot of self-care for you. And I guess the big thing is if you want it easy, then stay where you're at. But pick your hard. Pick your hard,
Yeah,
because
but the thing with staying on the diets is that the diet works as long as I stay on it.
exactly.
Okay. And the moment I go off the diet and I lose all those external restrictions and rules, everything comes piling back on again, because I haven't actually dealt with what's really going on emotionally, mentally, physically, everything else. And until I adopt a new lifestyle where I am really in touch with myself and my lifestyle reflects who I'm becoming, that allows a permanent change. But even, I mean, like, even if somebody says, well, I'm going to adopt a vegan lifestyle, the question is, are you still in all of that doing the shadow work? Are you still in that dealing with all the other things that come up? Because it's not just about the food. I mean, like, we laugh and we say, what you feed yourself is not just what you put in your mouth. It's also what you're listening to. It's what you're hearing. It's what you're thinking. That is all feeding yourself. But at the same time, healing and health and well-being is giving yourself the space to feel whatever you're feeling and acknowledge those feelings as valid momentarily and work through them. We are, as always, Sandra, over time.
Of course.
Thank you for joining me today. For
You're
those of you
welcome.
that have more questions, how can they get in touch with you, Sandra?
They can find me on Facebook. Um, I'm there. They can send me a message and I'll get back to them. And yeah,
Yeah.
soon I'll have a
Best way
new
to get in touch
website.
with
So
me. Exactly. Best way to get in touch with me is either through my Facebook page or on my website, bethgray.coach. Happy to talk to you. Happy to give you even an introductory call of let's sit down, talk through what do you need? What does it look like for you? Anytime. And really
yeah,
look at what are you hungry for if you're not hungry for food? What really needs to be taken care of? Thank you so
yeah,
much, Sandra,
you're
and
welcome.
see you all next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.